of the AT campsites are already pre-established and have their fire rings, and we don't really need to go hunting for stealth sites. I just thought as I did this exercise in setting up my tent in inclement weather that I would also hit some of the principles of a stealth site. So the short of it is that coming up to this site, I'm sufficiently far from the primary trail and sufficiently far from a water source that neither I am going to impact them, nor are they going to impact me. Also, you can see the ground is relatively level ground. The trees are all pretty uniform, both in height and in girth. So as a consequence, unlikely to be attractants for lightning. Likewise, the site is just down from the ridge and on the leeward side, so the most intense weather and wind is likely to go over the top of this site. You can see that there's some barren ground here, pretty level. Because there's no elevated area in the immediate proximity, I don't have to really worry about water courses for rain runoff and other things. So we're going to go off of this. What I'm going to do is run through, hopefully quickly, setting up the Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2 in inclement weather. Now, you know, I'll indicate to you or show you that I have a bit of a hack because I'm using the poncho as a ground sheet. But okay, so here we go. As I approach the site more closely, I don't know the degree to which this is going to show up, but there is a hanging deadfall branch right there on the crook of that tree. So that either has to be brought down, or I will have to move my position so that that is not a threat to the tent. Otherwise, the trees in the overhead seem pretty stable. So I may actually shift over to this area. Okay, here's my site. You can see that it's relatively flat, soft. Over to the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a stump, which is my accountability site, which is on along my route of egress, just to ensure that I not forget things in the morning. So I'm going to clear this site real quick of any kind of large debris, then I'm going to start this exercise. Okay, I had to adjust the site slightly because there was sort of an unhappy little ridge along the ground which was covered by the leaves. So just as you'll have to, I just adjusted it a little bit so that it would be as relatively flat as possible. So here we go with it. Okay, so this is not stable yet because I need to put the poncho down as a ground cloth, but I am dry. So I have my pack under here. Of course, I've got myself under here. What I'm going to do now is I'll put down the ground cloth so that it will be structurally stable. And if I were to tie it out, I could actually just use it as a tarp setup from that moment on. So let me do that. While I come over to you, I'm going to show you this little hack. It's on both the tarp and on the ground cloth. I put these, well, these are shot cord. The other ones are bank line. Forces the tarp to sit up more rigidly, whereas these shot cords are better for this because as it adjusts and that sort of thing, I don't put undue pressure on the tarp. So let me just reach by you here real quick. Okay, so now I've got it half on, so half the surface is dry, and I prefer to try to keep it as dry as possible. Still loving on the fact that the pack sits up by itself. Again, it's not a major issue, but boy, is it convenient that you're not constantly fighting with it flipping over. Okay, then the final one. Okay, so that is, as I can see on the clock, 10 minutes total to have the tarp completely set up. Now, very similar to the shelter setup, I'll take my various pieces of gear out of here, out of my pack, take those things I need, which is the same situation. Here's the hydration system. With my lunch bag and some of my warm weather things, some basic things. This is my food bag, can't cook setup. Just set that down. And then this is my night bag and sleeping bag and the rest of the warm weather, or the night, I'm sorry, my sleep clothes. Then I have the tent in the other side of the bottom of the bag. Now for now, I'm just going to take these things and put them back into my ruck in order to keep them all sort of out of the way as I manage this, because since I'm trying to set up the tent underneath the tarp, obviously it's going to be a bit of a exercise in just jiggering things around. So what I do is I set up half the tent first. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this and set it over here. And I go long ways. The reason is because that way I can set up the long ways, have the tent half up, then go into the tent, bring my bag, put everything there, and you can set the rest of the tent up from inside. Okay, so what you can see is the tent is half set up. Normally I just open her right up, take my gear and put it over on the far side of the tent. I just open it up. The beauty about this is, I'm dry. It doesn't really matter. There's no hurry at this point. I mean, the only real hurry was setting up the tarp.
That was 6 minutes and could have been faster. It wasn't the most efficient. So now I'm going to set up the tent from the far side. Now I just go into the tent. But what I want to do is just move you quickly inside of the tent so you can get a better look angle. Okay, so now you're in the one completed half of the tent. And so I just have this free right now. Again, it's not an issue. I'll go out, set up that other corner that you were just in. Clip the tent to the poles, as you saw me do earlier. Okay, so right now, according to that, it has been about 10 minutes and 47 seconds for me to do this, even sort of going through this with you. Now, the one thing that I still have to do is to take the spreader bar and just slip it up in between these two. Now, the one consideration in the rain like this is you want to try to keep your bare skin as much as possible off of the rain fly or the tarp. The reason is because that the water will come through, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to sort of wear your gloves and to use those. I mean, I haven't really created a problem now, but where I just touched it right there, I could kind of feel, you know, the moisture on the outside, and it reminded me that you do want to sort of give consideration protection to that. Inside, I seem to have sort of no dirt and certainly no water. Like I said, the spreader bar will definitely help here. Maybe I'll do that real quick. Okay, so I grabbed the bar, and now I'm going to go in between the tent fly and the tent. Simply take this down with the direction of the tent at first. Slide it across. I do have to clip these outside to get the full volume of the tent. I had to clip those two. So, okay, I hope this is helpful. You know, I hope that just going through these routines sort of keeps you thinking about what you do in inclement weather. That certainly we're going to find on the trail. I appreciate the time, appreciate your subscriptions, liking the videos if this is something of interest to you, and then of course the views are obviously, if we can keep them up, that is fantastic. So thank you very much once again. Great community, great team effort, and we will see you later. Scars out.